These are not places to be discarded or even looked down upon. They are culturally unique places worthy not only of respect and admiration, but love and embrace.
What's the name of the town? Liverpool, Liverpool.
This old town been home long as I remember. This town gonna be here long after I'm gone. East side, west side, people don't surrender. Going down, but they still rock on. Oh, and this town is my town. Alright, love or hate, it don't matter. Love or hate, it don't matter. I'm gonna stand and fight this town.
Happiness and despair live within blocks of each other in East Liverpool, Ohio.
Can I go get more?
At one point in time, it used to be the pottery capital of the USA. Why can't we get it back to where it was thriving?
This is my town.
You know, we get a lot of folks here that really do want to see things change, and most of them are optimistic. I think that they see the fruits of everyone's labor. You know, if you go uptown, the new apartment building they built right up from the hot dog shop, it's all encouraging.
Taught me that it's never too late.
Dump them in the hopper. You couldn't even dream that would get into a business or for buying a property at this price.
And we just want to show that there's good things here, even if people claim that there isn't. Because people think it's a scary town, but it really isn't.
I'm gonna stand and fight.
It takes vision to see the possibilities in the city, which suffered economic devastation from the shutdown of crucible steel in the 1980s and the gradual loss of numerous potteries. There are now just 3 remaining in the area.
When I was growing up, there were 131 potteries within a 50-mile radius of where we're sitting. The potteries were the first declination, way before steel. Unfortunately, for communities like East Liverpool throughout the Ohio Valley, that loss of those manufacturing jobs hasn't been replaced with something else.
Thankfully, there is now some job growth in the area, particularly in oil and gas. Still, the population is more than 50% lower than it was during the thriving days of 1955.
This town was packed. I mean, packed. You couldn't hardly get down the streets. Now it's kind of lonely down here.
Because East Liverpool used to be really booming, you know, but Calcutta is the one now. You know, everybody goes out there.
The city has more than twice the poverty rate as the national average.
What's happened is you have generations of families that have gone through this, and this has become the new norm, that this is just the way you have to live your life. And it leads to things like poor choices, like, you know, drug abuse. On the flip side of that is the success stories are just so powerful because, you know, when a person does get that degree and gets that job and changes their path, they're not just changing their own path, they're changing the future generations of their family.
Despite the challenges, generations of families remain deeply connected to each other and to this land with stunning vistas, bordering West Virginia and Pennsylvania. It is a place where people are proud of their pottery roots, flipping plates wherever they go to see if they were made in the valley.
And my husband will say, oh, that's not Homer Lockman's. That's, oh, yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. Here I am, even if it's got food on it, going like this. I do.
It is a place where people are there for each other, not letting heavy rain keep them from rooting for children in the Christmas parade.
Wouldn't matter if there were 5 feet of snow or 2 inches of water, they would still come out.
and it's a place where loyalty reigns for longtime fans of the Potter football team.
I've had season tickets for 73 years, and I'm 94 years old.
The whole thing growing up was you had to get out, but if you're going to leave a good foundation for the future, then you have to come back and you have to lend a helping hand. This is home. You have to take care of your home.
The same sentiment beckons East Liverpool High School alumni home.
Wow, that just screams 1986.
From places like Los Angeles, Chicago, and Annapolis. Armed with lessons from other communities and expertise in diverse fields, they want to breathe new life into the city that never left their hearts. They are aptly called ELCPR, or East Liverpool Community Partnership in Revitalization.
When I was building department stores, I traveled all over the country, and I was in different cities, but I also was in different towns that were similar. I looked at them and they're thriving, and I looked at East Liverpool and go, why can't East Liverpool thrive like they are? And there's no reason it can't.
When we went away, it always kind of, in a way, it was sad to see the decline over the years. And whereas I always saw the hope. There's a town that, yes, it's seen better days, but boy, it has such an opportunity to have even better days.
If you can help hang banners, that would be awesome.
It almost brings tears to my eyes to know that they come back, because they're bringing hope with them. They're bringing talent back, treasure back. You know, they're bringing these things back that once had left.
ELCPR, I'm so proud and blessed to be a part of you.
They recognize the economic challenges, the crumbling roads, the aging city pipes. But at the same time, they see the city's assets and the potential for the future.
Go Potters!
One of the quickest ways to get a flavor of East Liverpool is to jump in Frank Dawson's golf cart, decorated by the high school's football team.
You're in this, what was called Smoky Row. I told you about that. All the potteries were down here. And this one coming up here, the Vaudry family, they paid to have it restored. There's a kiln.
Frank, known as Digger, from his funeral home business, co-founded the Lou Holtz Upper Ohio Valley Hall of Fame.
So these are the people that we've honored.
Named after the local favorite son and famous former coach of Notre Dame football.
I give you our very own Louis Leo Holtz.
Well, he's a sophomore there.
He also brought together potters from all over the country to form one of the largest public high school alumni groups.
The Alumni Association was formed, first of all, to restore the clock tower that was taken down in the 80s. We reached out and found that we had over 16,000 graduates around the country, and they really came together not only to restore our clock tower, but it's also our alumni headquarters, and we have over $1 million in our scholarship fund. So those that have left have not forgotten, and they come back every 6 years for our all-class reunion, which is unbelievable.
The very first time I came was an all-school reunion. So I came in when there was 15,000 people and all these people that had come back into the area. So there was a lot of energy and there was a lot of excitement. So that was really, really neat to see.
You thought it was Doc Hollywood
after
watching
that
movie.
This is like Doc Hollywood. What a cute little town.
Little did the Coopers know then that they would eventually settle back in Drew's hometown with 4 children. They live in Drew's childhood home after buying it from his parents.
It was a big transition because we were happy in Annapolis. Like there was no need to move, but there was just something missing. There wasn't as much community, and Drew, I think, was really, because he had especially experienced it from growing up here, was just really wanting that community and that family.
Whoa, good one.
Drew has a short commute to West Virginia and his job as Vice President of Operations for a company supporting small businesses. A member of the class of 1992, his yearbook shows a young man playing sports and serving on student council. He credits his naval experience for the team-building skills that help him chair the ELCPR.
When you find out what their sweet spot is, they'll put their whole heart into it and they'll own it. All of this is much bigger than any one of us.
This is my town.
We kind of check our ego at the door. Everybody can bring something to the table, and that's what we want to show to the community too.
This was sort of the place to live back in the day. As urban sprawl happened and we all sort of left the downtown area and the surrounding neighborhoods and went out to the suburbs, these neighborhoods, you know, blight took over. So now there's a lot of us that are coming back to the old neighborhoods and, you know, buying the houses and doing what we can to bring the neighborhoods back. And they lived up the street on Thompson Avenue right next to us.
Family is important to Kathy Hyatt Smith from the class of '86. The youngest of 7 children, she moved back from Chicago after her husband passed away and her father became ill. Working in property management and real estate development in Pittsburgh, she bought her 3-story home against her dad's advice.
He said, "That's crazy, you should not buy that house, it needs a lot of work, and you know, the neighborhood is not what it used to be when we lived there." And I said, well, we can make it that way again. We have lots of family gatherings here and it's been wonderful. So this is the dining room, and there's lots of work that's going to be done in this room soon, so I'm excited about that. And I call it my paycheck to paycheck reno, and it very much at this point is. Something that I would love to see happen with our neighborhood revitalizations is work on grants to help these people that maybe can't afford it. So this fireplace is amazing. Our property taxes in East Liverpool and in Columbiana County are probably some of the lowest in the country. What you're going to pay in anywhere in Pennsylvania is probably going to be triple what you would pay here. We've always been this bedroom community, sort of nestled outside the big city, and I think we can do that all over again. When we grew up, we walked and rode our bikes downtown every single day. This neighborhood is so close that it's truly an extension of downtown East Liverpool.
And the stage is not built yet. We're just going to leave all these over there. I just sent Drew a picture of last year so he could see how to put that stage together.
On a hot summer day, volunteers transformed the heart of the city, known as the Diamond, into the Ceramic City Jazz, Blues, and Barbecue Festival. Thanks to Opata from the class of '92, the entertainment will be top-notch. Stacia Abbott performs throughout the area and finds musicians through her connections.
Music just bridges the gap. It's a predominantly white area, so my job is to bring some diversity, some cultural awareness to an impoverished area. I mean, they can come and enjoy world-class musicians for free. So right now I'm going in between stages, manning stages.
You build stuff to bring feet from outside the town. The festival is purposely designed to bring in acts or entertainers that people follow, but they don't live in our area.
I believe in faith.
People come down and they're like, wow, I mean, this is happening in little downtown East Liverpool. The tangible, again, the economic development, the fact that we have 2 new restaurants since last year's festival, the fact that we have, you know, at least 3 that are looking at different spaces in downtown and want to be downtown, that's huge too. And then obviously this is a fundraiser for us too.
We were down here last year. It was such a great competition, such a great turnout. We thought we had to come back. It's nice to see something come back in downtown East Liverpool. You know, it's been a long time since they had good things downtown like this. And I mean, you can see, you know, I mean, the crowd will be absolutely jam-packed.
Delicious? Good.
The Newcastle School of Trades downtown is a dream come true that first seemed like a pipe dream.
You know, every time I'm in that building, I still can't believe that it's there.
Actually, East Liverpool wasn't on our radar at all. We looked to grow and expand from our main campus in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. But when Scott Shepard and the ELCPR group approached us, they were relentless in making this happen.
I see a lot of opportunity. I mean, we've got all these great buildings.
Scott Shepard from the class of '86 runs his business from a historic building close to his mother's florist shop. The nearby construction of an ethane cracker plant gave him the idea to contact the trade school.
Knowing the amount of construction that would have to be done, the amount of welding, it just made perfect sense to ask the question, would you want to be here?
So, you know, we were like, yeah, that's close to where we're at, and it's not really what we're looking for. And then we met Drew Cooper and the mayor, and they said, let's show you what we've got. So it's just like the little punch in the arm eventually starts to hurt after a while.
So we looked at it. We looked at 3 or 4 different sites in the East Liverpool area. This one just seemed to be unique in that it was a corner building. Though it was in really poor condition, it could lend itself to a school, and I think it had great visibility. It was close to Kent State.
Red's an interesting color for the building because it's not what I would pick to go with this color brick or anything about it, but because this was a Woolworths store, Woolworths trademark signage and everything was red.
The space once housed Woolworth's Five and Dime and Ogilvy's department store. However, like many of the buildings downtown, when the businesses left, emptiness and neglect moved in.
To describe it, you know, the roof was in the basement, almost condemned to the point you couldn't walk through it.
A lot of these buildings have been neglected for years, and the worst thing that can happen to a building is their roof go bad, which most of these buildings have bad roofs, and water is the #1 enemy. The selling point is you're bringing back history.
The original storefronts are still here. The instructor's office is now in one of the show windows, which I think is kind of cool. But a lot of the character of the original store is still in here. I mean, the columns are here, the wide open space is still here. It's just, we have welders instead of customers.
Most of these buildings downtown are at least 100 years old. They were built well. I think you're getting a better end product by investing in them. It'll be good for another 100 years. The tax programs help, but it takes a special investor to do it because, like I said, it's not a quick return.
But it took a multifaceted approach from the state level all the way down to an individual that was willing to make one phone call to ask for help. And I think even when that project should have died 9 lives, I think we were on the 9th live. But people were willing to do whatever it took.
It took about 4 years to put the financing together for the $7 million project and another year to build. In 2016, the school opened to the thrill of the community.
If there's an area you want to find success in and build success, it would be this area. We realized the hard times. It was a hard-working, blue-collar town, a lot of pride. We want to be able to bring that back.
Nearby, a Newcastle graduate works maintenance and helps coach the football team.
There you go.
Some of the kids do not have direction in life or regular meals.
We're trying to give it back to the kids. We have a lot of people that donate meals to the kids because sometimes when they go home, they won't have a meal. Newcastle being right in the center of downtown, 40% of the poor population around here is within walking distance of that school. So they just need the motivation and the inspiration to get there.
For many years, the Diamond is prime real estate for business. Now only memories remain in its most iconic buildings.
The Little Hat Shop, P.L. Rigby, which is a lawyer in Notary Republic, Miss Mary Wright, she's a hairdresser, manicuring, and she was 509.
By the light of a cell phone, the little building's businesses from 1920 are revealed. Upstairs, you could see why this would be a popular place to set up shop.
When you look at the doors with the transoms and the numbers on them, expect to see Humphrey Bogart walk out of one of these halls from Casablanca with his armbands and his fedora hat on.
In one suite, it looks like a beauty shop owner just left for lunch. In reality, her departure was around 10 years ago. On the upper floors, the views and the interconnected rooms give Lisa Blaisdell from the class of '86 and her son a vision of apartments.
It's just kind of that urban feel, what everybody I think kind of looks for now. It's home, but it has the feeling of the past.
So we're entering the Thompson building, headquarters for the Thompson Company. The Thompson Company owned a pottery, a hotel. They're one of the more prominent families in the 1800s.
Across the street, John Mercer from the class of '85 sees past bird droppings and debris to business opportunities.
I think it still has really great bones. I mean, the windows, the stained glass, just the structure, even the funky spaces in here I think are really interesting. So we're crossing into the Diamond Hotel, the second building. I have always been in historic preservation since I was a kid. What's interesting is that old people and young people want to live in urban environments. They want a walkable community. And we have the infrastructure right here in town, the historic architecture that just needs redone.
The thing that made East Liverpool great back in the day, in many generations, was the downtown. That's where a majority of the memories and that common interaction were. We don't have that. Let's bring it back, because there are cities that are getting it done, and those are places that people want to live.
The ELCPR studies the plans of thriving cities like Naperville, Illinois, that once faced the same kind of challenges.
When we look at small towns in particular, the downtown is not a fad. It's not a museum piece that we're trying to, fix up for tourism reasons. It's literally like the beating heart of the community. It is the core of this ecosystem that we're trying to reestablish. Let's start there. Let's incrementally build out and start connecting things together.
The ELCPR's working plan, East Liverpool 2034, begins with the Diamond.
Let's come up with a vision of what the Diamond could be, not just visually, but also activity-wise. You draw people in, entrepreneurs are going to be interested in opening up a shop, because usually you open up a store, a restaurant, where there's traffic.
Coincidentally, the mayor, who surprisingly won the office as a write-in candidate, has his business in the Diamond.
I've had clients tell me that they're scared to come downtown after dark, which is crazy to me because I think we live in an incredibly safe area. I walk to and from work all the time, but no, I wouldn't disagree that downtown is the starting point. But if you look at our city as a whole, we have an east end of our city that has a lot of potential as well.
Whatever you do, money is a challenge.
There's not a lot of free money floating around in East Liverpool.
The mayor plans to work with the state to fund badly needed repairs in the city. The ELCPR is looking at developing a bike path and an athletic complex.
People need to feel attracted to the community because of the lifestyle amenities that the community has. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I think that if we can get that bootstrapping going and you develop some momentum, others will take notice, and I think there's a potential for finding dollars in other places.
In many ways, the East Liverpool story is like David and Goliath.
This is not a plan set in stone. What we've done is create a framework.
I see a lot of visionaries in a room where an area needs a ton of vision. I think there's tons of opportunity. It's going to be in pieces, and it's going to take, like he said, the whole group of us to push the negative, negating people over the mark.
The city is empowered from the smallest act of cleaning the diamond to persisting against all odds to get a trade school downtown. But there is still fear of looking at that giant.
Me personally, I've always cheered for the little guy.
It's been good to us. And now they're trying to, revitalize everything and get new businesses to join us, old businesses that have stayed here all this time. I think there's a new generation that really cares about what's, going to happen to East Liverpool.
There's something special and unique and purposeful of a small town.
Do you want a bag or anything, or is that all right?
We still have good people, and I think it could be a good city again. I love it. I still love East Liverpool. With everything wrong with it, I still love it.
We've lost our purpose. Now we got to refine that purpose, and I think we're finding it. And I think that same model could be for all these other small towns. There is something unique and special about a small community.
Go Big Blue!
Just don't shut it down and think that you have to move to the big city. There is something unique, and by the way, traffic's a lot better.